So we got all this power in this bike now. Now we need a way to get the power to the rear wheel. For that, I got a Rekluse Torq-Drive part RMS 284 high performance clutch, and this thing is pretty sweet. So basically this clutch pack goes from an 18 plate to 31 plate configuration, so more surface area, and it's supposed to have up to 56% more torque to the rear wheel. Clutch doesn't fade. Yeah, it's made out of steel, and it comes with these sleeves to put on your basket to reduce sleeve wear, or basket wear. So yeah, I'm excited about this. So what I'm gonna do now is get the derby cover off, drain all the fluid out, take the shifter off, take the peg mount off, and then I'm gonna get the whole primary off. And of course I have my handy dandy bolt guide. Let's do it. Okay, as you can see, we got the inner primary, or the outer primary off. Gotta take the inspection cover off. Totally forgot. Okay, so from here, we're gonna be using the Rekluse Torq-Drive instructions. The only parts on here we're gonna reuse are these bolts, the Belleville spring, the pressure plate, the damper spring seat, which is going to be all the way in the back here. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these bolts out, pull the Belleville spring off, the pressure plate off, and then I'll slowly start pulling these plates out and setting them down in order. Now this is the yellow Belleville spring. So with this clutch, it gives you a little chart in here. It says it'll be rated for up to 140 pounds of torque. And of course you can buy other springs and have it rated higher. There's the pressure plate. And that is the whole clutch, completely disassembled. As you can see, this is the actual clutch pack with the steel plates and then the friction plates, I guess is what these are called. Yeah, these are actually in really good shape. So these are all going to get replaced, as well as this, and then these two, the flywheel, the Belleville spring, and this all stay. And basically this clutch is going to take these 18 plates and bump them up to, what did I say, 32? 34?
Goes from an 18 plate to 31 plate configurations.
Basically the thought is more surface area, more torque. Hey, I wanted to go over something real quick before I actually get this clutch installed, and that's the major difference between this Rekluse Torq-Drive clutch and then the stock clutch. There are a few big differences, including the number of plates being the biggest one, but I want to show you the difference in the actual friction plates. So as you can see, this is the stock friction plate. There's a lot of these organic surface areas, and you can see how thick this is. This is made of aluminum. So this is the Rekluse friction plate. As you can see, the actual friction points are a lot different. They're a completely different shape, and the big difference is the thickness. Look at the difference in these two. Big difference. So yeah, with there being a lot more of these, there's a lot more surface area, which can translate to more torque getting down to the drive, to the chain, to the rear wheel. That's the theory. And then on these steel discs, it's the same kind of thing. The Rekluse ones are a lot thinner, but they're going to have the same amount of surface area per disc because they don't have any of those friction points. And that's going to be a massive more amount of surface area. Okay, so we got 8 in the stock clutch and 14 in the Rekluse clutch. So, again, a lot more surface area. I just wanted to go ahead and do a quick overview of all that before I actually get this thing slapped back in, just so you guys can actually see the difference between the two. I'm really hoping that theory holds water and this thing does get a lot more torque to the ground. With the displacement being up to 95 inches with those cams in, this thing should have quite a bit more torque. So I'm hoping that does translate to more power to the ground. That would be phenomenal. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get this clutch finished up now. I got all the parts I needed that I was waiting on. It's been a few days since I tore all this down. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to install these basket sleeves. They're basically these little steel sleeves that go right onto the clutch basket. I've already installed a couple of them here. See, there's one there and there's one there. Basically, these are going to, because the new friction plates are steel, it's going to keep the steel from hitting the aluminum on the clutch basket and damaging it. So I'm going to go ahead and install all of these. These are just slide in to each notch in the clutch basket. Okay, so all 12 of those are installed, and now we're going to take all these friction discs, these are the new ones, put them in this container, and then fill this up with new primary fluid. Okay, now when you're installing these friction discs, there are 13 of these thin ones, and there's one thick one. It's actually 0.065 inches thick. This is the steel drive plate that goes in front of the judder disc, the very first one that goes in. And that's the only one of these that does not look like a friction disc. And now we've got to align the notches, so I'm going to put all these notches facing up. Okay, so now you're going to have the damper seat, this large flat washer here, and that's just going to go directly on. Now the damper spring with the, I guess the concave facing out. Alright, now here's where the thick drive plate comes on. Just line up the teeth. Okay, so now we have all the friction discs that have been sitting in oil for 5 minutes or so. Now we're going to alternate, so it's going to be thin friction disc and then steel drive. And since we already have the thick steel drive on here, it's going to go friction disc, steel drive plate, friction disc, steel drive plate, friction disc, etc., etc., etc. for all 13 of each of them. And then we'll stop there. Okay, so now that all the friction discs and drive plates are on, we're going to go ahead and install the pressure plate back on. And this does have the adjuster on it with the snap ring. I did make sure just to go ahead and clean off the area here that actually contacts the friction plates. Let's just pop this in. There we go. Okay, so pressure plate's on, and now we're going to go ahead and put the stock Belleville spring back on with the new Rekluse spring ring. gonna start putting these bolts back in. Okay, the torque specs on these are 90 to 110 inch-pounds. I got my 10 mil on my torque wrench here. I'm gonna torque these down to 100 inch-pounds, just right there in the middle. Okay, so the clutch is all installed. Torque down, everything's good. So now what we're gonna need to do is adjust the clutch to the normal way you would with the service manual. This nut is broken loose, as you can see, 7/32. And basically you're gonna turn this until it touches, which is about right there. Okay, and now once you hit that stopping point, you're gonna wanna turn counterclockwise 1/2 to 3/4 of a turn. So that's 1/2, call that 3/4 right there. And then you're going to want to, without moving the actual Allen key, tighten that. And then I have my handy dandy little custom tool. You're gonna hold that, tighten this without losing your adjustment point. There we go. The last thing to do is go up top to the cables and actually get all the slack out. And then this thing will be good to get buttoned up. Okay, so after the clutch is adjusted down in the primary, you need to come over here, somewhere over here, and adjust your actual clutch cable. Now you're gonna wanna tighten it till there's about an 1/8 to a 1/16 inch of free play up here in your clutch lever. I'll do that real quick. Alright, so that's the clutch fully installed. So I'm going to go ahead and put this primary cover back on. I'm reusing the same gasket, mainly because a certain online motorcycle company, whose name I won't mention, JP Cycles, failed to send me one when I ordered one. So I'm just going to reuse the same gasket. It's fairly new. I also got new gaskets for these posts right here for the inspection cover. I don't know if you can see that or not. So those are going on. And all I've done so far was just wipe down the inner surface of the primary, and I did go ahead and repaint this with the Harley blonde aerosol paint. Now I also did get new all new ARP bolts for everything on here. So I'm just gonna throw some thread locker on them, zip them in, and then torque them down to, I think it's 90 to 100 inch-pounds again, so I'm probably gonna go right at 100 again. That should be about it. Fill it up with fluid, put the derby cover on, attach all this stuff, and good to go. Alright, so that's it for the Rekluse Torq-Drive installation. Pretty straightforward, literally just pull it out, put the new one in. A couple things to pay attention to is where the notches are at on the friction plates. You want to make sure those are all orientated. I put all mine straight up, but you can put them anywhere as long as they're all in the same spot. So I'm really excited to see how this thing works. The theory sounds good. Like, I know I've said it 100 times, more surface area, more area for the engine power to transfer to the back wheel. It makes sense, so hopefully it holds true. So yeah, next week, all new brakes, running new brake lines, all new fittings, new fluids, and I'm not changing the pads because they're actually pretty new, so not bothering with that, but all new lines, fittings, fluid, etc. And then I think after that video is going to be a recap video and a service video. just to sort of kind of close the whole chapter on this Dyna build. So yeah, as always, thanks for watching. New videos every Thursday. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Send me your firstborn, blood samples, whatever, man. Just do it all. Help me out. Get the channel growing. I'm out of here. See you next week.